Hello, good afternoon, Miss Sharon. How are you? I'm good, thank you. My name is Christopher Lumahan, and thank you very much for allowing me to be interviewed for this teaching position today. I am a Bachelor of Elementary Education with a specialization in mathematics graduate. I finished my Master of Arts in Curriculum Design Development and Supervision, primarily in math or grade school math, and I am currently enrolled in my doctorate with the same course and hope to finish next year. I have a huge passion of teaching grade school learners, especially in mathematics, and it is a subject I feel entirely confident in, reflected in my ability to prepare yet highly effectively to cater to students of all standards and abilities. With 18 years of experience in my profession, I have built up extensive experience that has given me various teaching styles. I can quickly draw a plan to meet the needs of my students. I have proficient communication skills. I am flexible and adaptable in my approach to teaching, and I will consistently deliver positive results in any school based on the defined curriculum. One area I mainly thrive in as a grade school math teacher is when I need to explain challenging mathematical concepts to my students who have historically struggled to grasp what is required. However, I am patient and reassuring in such situation and use simple, easy to understand methodologies to teach the subject. I have a flexible teaching styles that can cater to diverse students and abilities. I am also a team leader, an energetic, knowledgeable, and diligent teacher. I am someone who consistently implements effective behavior management processes in the classroom and strive myself on an ability to develop both personally and professionally continually. Aside from teaching, I also have various skills that can be used not only in the academic field, but also in the other aspects. I was blessed by the Lord in the field of music by playing the piano, not professionally, but I can play. I am also a worshiper who is gifted with a beautiful voice to sing. And in fact, I am a member of the division of Malabon City Teachers Choir in the Philippines before, and I was one of the original members who sang the division hymn. I also have the ability to host and design the venue in different events such as graduation ceremonies, with the birthday parties and others. So aside from this, I also have the experience of being a mentor and a speaker and professional on our professional development rather at our school to share my knowledge on team building. I also have an active involvement experience on different projects in the community. Actually, when I was teaching grade 4 science and became a school coordinator, we had many projects launched in accordance with the departments of education projects, such as the implementation of CLEGO, which is Clean as You Go project in both schools and community. So we have the tree planting project also in cooperation with the municipalities and barangays. And we have the Clean and Green project where the students will clean the road and the school in cooperation of the LGUs and the Students' Council. And I believe that this is a way to prepare them to be life ready. I believe you should hire me for several reasons. To begin with, I am very energetic and passionate teacher, and I will be able to impart really good knowledge onto your students. I promise that I always make sure the learning environment is productive and safe and to all students, regardless of their abilities, will have the same opportunities. So this is in line with my teaching philosophy that students will receive the same high levels of learning, the classroom to be safe, and I like that to be a productive learning environment. As a teacher, it would be my responsibility to use a teaching styles that caters to all. My philosophy always focuses on that fact nobody should get left behind. So no student should feel isolated or excluded. And I would make sure that I cultivated a positive learning environment where everyone advances and reaches their full potential. You should also hire me because I will always be supportive of the school. I am adaptable and flexible, which means that I will be available to help out of short notice if required, and at all times I will embrace change. The change that the school needs to implement, I will embrace that positively, and I will always uphold the core values of your school, which is being committed, have passion in teaching and learning, respectful, and have an integrity to fulfill with the school's vision. Handling struggled students. Okay, so among all of the important responsibilities of a teacher, one of the most critical constructs to students' achievement is support for individual learners. So this support is especially needed for students that struggle with specific skills and concepts, including social and emotional learning. I always believe that effective teacher knows their students. At the beginning of the academic year, we gave a learning style test, the multiple intelligence test. We have the diagnostic test, or what we call here the central test. And these assessments are totally a big help for me as a teacher to know better my students' needs. In addition, knowing their background is also important because some of the reasons that I encountered my students struggled in class academically were due to family problem, learning difficulties, sometimes the language barrier, and poverty. I remembered one of my students in public school who struggled academically due to poverty. They will come to school with an empty stomach because they have nothing to eat in the house. So the reason why it's hard for them to focus and think critically because they are hungry is that he is hungry. So I recommend him to be part of the feeding program wherein selected students can get their nutritious food in the canteen for free to support them. And after a month, the students become active and participative. And currently, I have students who are struggling academically because of the language barrier. He doesn't understand English at all, the reason why it's hard for him to master the concept. So what I did is I communicated with the class advisor and to the English teacher and also the parent to support him by attending our remedial class program, that is the intervention for struggling students in English and math. And I am so happy because the program helps him a lot to improve in both subjects. So finding the main reasons why students struggle academically is always my priority. Why? Because this will help me to what intervention do I need to plan and prepare to help and support the learners. Generally, because most of my subject is teaching math in the lower grades, we all know that this is the subject some students are fearful of, and such, their willingness and ability to learn will be hampered. The way to overcome this is first to ascertain our students' level of knowledge. It would help me then use exciting, fun ways of learning mathematics. And I believe it is essential that we use everyday scenarios the students can relate to teaching the subject. For example, while teaching my class, we enacted role play scenarios where the students would enter a fictitious shop to purchase some goods. So to let them to the basics of addition and subtractions gave them the confidence to use numbers in real life setting. So I would also use the problem solving scenario where everyone in the class would discuss mathematical problems relevant to the real world. So by being creative and visual and enabling problem-solving discussion among themselves was able to develop my students' mathematical ability far quicker than simply using a tough and dictatorial style. Finally, I will always try to use math-related stories while teaching, as these are much more interesting and it is easier to maintain students' attention for a more extended period. In addition, the assessments, the anecdotal records, the observation notes, and others are very important to monitor the struggling students' progress throughout the program. And I also believe that to minimize the cases of those struggling students in our class, one way to do as a teacher is to have a differentiated instruction that cater to the needs of every individual. So, of course, it's a factor also when we have a good and safe classroom environment to make the students feel and they are safe. And always remember that teaching this generation, actually, they are what we call the Gen Z learners now. The technology is also a must for them to engage more, to inspire more, and to educate more in preparation for them to be life ready in facing the challenging life in this challenging world. My weakness and my strengths. So my strengths include my adaptable styles of teaching and the manner in which I am able to tailor my lesson plans to all the students. Other strengths include my understanding on how important it is to be supportive of the school I am teaching at, and on the basis, I would say I am politically aware. I have an inclusive style of teacher and I am a strong communicator both in the classroom and also the same time as speaking to parents. In terms of my weakness, this is definitely my inability to say no to additional work. Although I am a type of math teacher who will always take on as much work as possible, I need to learn the importance of striking a healthy work-life balance so that I do not become overwhelmed or burn out. In terms of classroom management, whenever I am managing the classroom, I always make sure that I set firm boundaries and expectation from the start. It is essential and always focus on the 3 R's: the respect, response, and the right approach to learning. Respect means it is based on the fact that I want my students to respect each other and also want them to respect me as a teacher. And if they learn respect, it helps them throughout their lives to build a good relationship with people once they have left the school. The second R means the response. Response means is the process we will all follow while in the classroom. So I want my students to ask questions and get involved in the lesson because this ensures that they are then concentrating and are less likely to be distracted and ultimately misbehave. And the right approach, which is the final of the 3 R's, is the student understands the benefits of learning. I always make sure that I motivate my students and focus on teaching them how important the lifelong learning is and how it will impact lives. And finally, I will always use a style of teaching that is appropriate to the students' needs, which helps minimize misbehavior in the classroom also. And the physical structure of my classroom is a big help to have a positive classroom environment. It must be always clean, it must be always organized and colorful, especially for the grade school, to motivate students to study because they feel that they have a happy learning environment. In terms of the teaching styles, I like to use a variety of different teaching styles dependent on the subject, dependent on the environment and the needs of the students. So these styles include the instructional, we have the discussion, the visual, and the practical teaching styles. The instructional styles is when I want the students to listen and follow my instruction. Discussion styles is where I want to encourage the students to ask questions and debate among themselves about the problem. And the discussion style is helpful because it allows the students to improve their communication skills and also their ability to build the relationship with each other. But I prefer the teaching style, or my preferred teaching styles rather, however, is the visual and the practical styles, where I will use the practical demonstration that the students can relate to because they will encounter this in their lives as they progress. So to summarize, I use a mixture of different styles that are designed to meet the needs of the learners. To handle the students' behavior, actually, from the beginning of the academic year, I spent time discussing the rules and regulation in the classroom and the school policies so that they are aware of the consequences of misbehaving. I also discussed my expectations and the benefits of the productive, engaged, and a communicative class. With this, I built a rapport with my students, which I could then make on moving forward. Although We had occasions where the boundaries were crossed. I could go back to the basics and remind everyone of the agreed classroom behavior standards we had set initially. In the case is worse and the behavior cannot be handled alone, we need to call the parents' attention and have counseling depending on the problem found. And I believe we can minimize the problem of misbehaving students if we know what they need. That's why knowing our students' abilities, their attitudes, their behavior, and background is very important for us as a teacher to lessen our burden in handling misbehaving students. And also, knowing them is a big help for us in what strategies to apply in this section or class to make the learning happy and engaging. How can you see your class when you pass by? Or how can you see my class when you pass by? I assure you that my students and I must have a safe and productive learning environment. All students are unique, so I am responsible for using various teaching methods and styles to cater to everyone. So nobody should be left behind, isolated or excluded from the same high standard of teaching everyone deserves. So as a grade school math teacher, it is my job to cultivate a positive learning environment where everyone advances and reaches their full potential. So with this, you will see my class engaging and actively participating in class discussion, collaborative group works, playing games while learning, and having teamwork to achieve the concept of the lesson. In terms of technology, teaching the Gen Z learners is too difficult without technology, as I said before. That's why in planning my lessons, technology must always integrated. Here in my current school, we have a smart board for teaching to make our presentations more interactive. So we use also the Classera platform, which is the school's learning management system, and it has exclusive features. You can upload online homeworks, videos, assessments with the computation of grades are there already, the analysis and the mastered concept. And this is our platform to communicate also to the parents directly to inform their children's performance in school. Another platform that we are using is the Savas realized by Pearson. So these are the additional online resources to support the students in mastering every concepts of containing of videos, also assessments, ebooks, and others. And we also has a 1:1 ratio of using the tablet given by the school upon enrollment. So we use this for the class activities using different online applications like we have the Kahoot, we have the quizzes, the Edmodo, the IXL, and others application to make the students play while learning the concepts. The basic features of lesson plan. So the basic features of my lesson plans are the objectives. We have the objectives, the content, the teaching methods, and evaluation. So the objective should be clearly defined from the outset, and this would include ensuring the lessons is tailored to the needs of the students while also focusing on the specific educational curriculum. In math, that is what we call the Common Core State Standard Objectives, or what we call the CCSS. So the content would be focused primarily on the objectives of the curriculum while also ensuring it was engaging, exclusive, or inclusive rather, and inspiring. So the teaching methods would be that dictated by the lecturer, and it would be my responsibility to ensure I had the relevant teaching aids and resources to achieve my teaching objectives. And finally, the evaluation phase would be something I would do to ensure the teaching objectives were met, and also whether any of the students required additional support to enable them to progress with their learning. Communicating to the parents with the students' behavior. Actually, communication with the stakeholders must be done regularly, not only during the parents' meeting. We must always give feedback on our students' academic and behavioral performance. In my current school, we use the Classera platform for everyday communication. We also use the school's official phones to send the SMS, Facebook, and others to important announcement. So we have the flow chart of an organization to follow when it comes to informing the parents about the students' behavior. First, the subject teacher must identify the main problem, why students misbehave, by observing his routines and activities inside the class inside the classroom. So second, as a subject teacher, you must report or submit your report to the advisor to inform him about the student's behavior, then schedule for counseling for the students involved if needed. And lastly, we call the meeting with the parents to inform them about the student's behavior. During the meeting, I'll always explain the objective of why they called for an appointment. I must see to it that it's clear to them that we are partners in working together for the benefits of their child. Then I started asking who their child was at home and compare my observation to him in class. In the end, I did not decide on my own solution. I always make a collaborative decision about what to do to help the child, then make sure to follow up and monitor this student's progress from time to time. With this strategy, I believe that the parents become participative. That this is also what we call the parents' involvement. And they can avoid complaining and blaming on my part as a teacher because I did my best to help their child grow academically and behaviorally, with which they can use in preparation for him to be life ready. However, you will encounter a close-minded parent who can accept your report about their child. So the strategy that I'm using for this is to listen. Then afterwards, I explain to them that we are not there to argue, but to settle the problem. So they need to cooperate, because if the behavior of the child in the school is different from the behavior that he is portraying at home, 100% there is a problem. And that's what we need to address immediately to guide the students to the right path.